Well, this is a moment of truth.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Sangay, khair de, kena?
Tell her it's very wonderful to meet her again after so many years. I'm just trying to see some identifying marks here. I'm just wondering about the eyes. I wonder if her eyes changed. The eyes in the picture are green.
She says that I have grown older.
Yeah, right.
And also because of the suffering, maybe.
I remember hearing somewhere the eye color can change in certain circumstances. The line under the lip, under the lower lip, seems very similar to the picture and to her face. It's just a little bit of an indentation, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know, that seems very unusual. The amazing thing is that we have this photograph, 3 feet from her face, and the resemblance is so strong that if this is not her, it would have to be her twin. It's just amazing that you can be this close and not be 100% sure.
Alam Bibi grew up in Nasir Ba refugee camp. Today she lives with her husband and 3 children in a village just 3 miles away. Her 4th child is due any day. She shares a similar story with the girl Steve remembers, violence and loss in her early years, and a struggle for sustenance in later years. She also shares a striking resemblance to the Afghan girl.
The life of this family is just beyond comprehension. She can't afford the 25 cents it would cost to send her children to school. I think she, in a way, symbolizes the plight, the anguish, the suffering of these many millions of people who have had to flee their country in this 20-year war.
But is Alam Bibi the Afghan girl? At Iridian Technologies, Jim Cambier and Ulfkan van Zeelen use their system on photos of Alam Bibi's eyes. Usually Iridian's equipment scans real eyes with infrared light, but photographs are different and accuracy will depend on the quality of the images.
The rest is actually quite nice. Nice texture there.
The system pays no attention to color. It only deals with iris tissue structure. Images of Alam Bibi's eyes are loaded into the computer. A 17-year-old mystery has come down to this moment.
This is the iris that we extracted, and the iris code, you see it has large gaps here. Compared to the left eye of the original woman, the mismatch is 45%, so only 55% of the bits matched, and again, it's a clear mismatch.
That's the same degree of mismatch which we would normally expect to see between my eyes and yours.
So Alam Bibi is not the Afghan girl. Disappointed, Steve revisits the elders at Nasir Ba to see if they have any new leads. Haji Farouk has been showing the picture around the camp, and 2 men have come forward to say they know the girl. Their tents were next to her family's in an orphan camp at Nasir Ba. They say she's living in Afghanistan near Tora Bora, and they offer to go in to try to find her. They set off towards Tora Bora. The mission is not without risk. War still rages in the area. This region was recently one of Osama bin Laden's strongholds. It could take weeks for them to return. Nothing is certain.
When you leave Pakistan and want to go to Afghanistan, you are allowed to do that. But if you want to come back to Pakistan, the Pakistan government has banned the entry of new refugees.
Steve's time is running out.
We have a lot of leads still coming in, but I'm going to have to leave today. Been through the camp exhaustively, looking and talking to as many people as possible. We've given it really our best shot. Rahimullah, who's been working with me, a highly respected journalist here, is going to be continuing to follow up on these leads.
On Steve's final day, he visits the Nasir Ba cemetery. He remembers a rumor that the Afghan girl died in childbirth at the age of 13. It is a sea of unmarked graves, a testament to the millions of displaced lives that never made it home. "50 miles inside of Afghanistan, Safiullah, one of the men who went searching for the Afghan girl, reaches a remote village near Tora Bora. He finds his friend working in a field. When the man sees the photograph, he recognizes the girl in the picture. He says it's his sister. Rahimullah receives a phone call from the men. They say they found the Afghan girl and they're bringing her to Peshawar. National Geographic arranges for correspondent Boyd Mattson to race to Peshawar and follow up on what might be a promising lead.
Well, Steve had to leave, but we heard about one more possibility, one other person who just might be that girl. So I've decided, as long as we're here, we might as well check out all the leads. They're sure this is the one.
These two elders who were just here, and they will come soon, they told us that they are 100% sure it is the same girl.
We've heard that before.
Yes, we have. So I think we have to keep our fingers crossed.
Boyd arrives at the elder's house. The two men have returned. In this culture, Boyd must first meet with the men. The woman they say is the Afghan girl is resting inside the house.
So you're the brother of the girl? Yes. And you have very similar eyes to your sister? Same color? Yes.
Yes, I agree. Her name is Sharbat Gula. And Sharbat means a sweet drink.
So it would be good if we could see his sister, or at least have someone go and take a look. Perhaps someone get a picture that we could look at.
He says the women can go and have a look, and then we will see.
And is it okay if she takes just a picture with their video?
It is agreed that Carrie Regan, the associate producer on the team, can go in and photograph the woman.
Eagerly await.
She is allowed to enter a world where few men can follow. Suddenly, the weight of the search is on her shoulders. Does the Afghan girl lie behind this door?
He is the husband.
Yes, and his name is?
Ahmed Gul.
And how many children do you have?
I have 4 children. One has died, and I have 3 daughters.
10 minutes have passed. For everyone, it feels like an hour.
Well, Carrie?
It's interesting.
What is
I have
it?
some photos to show you. The eyes are this brilliant color green. There's a little bit of blue, but it's somewhat faded. The traces on the iris, these marks. She has marks that are quite similar, and moles as well. She didn't want to have her picture taken outside, so these were taken in a very dimly lit room. I can tell you're anxious. Would you like to see the photo of the entire girl
I'd
or
like to
just
see
her
the face,
eyes
please.
first? Okay.
Let's see. Come on, Carrie. This isn't Christmas. Okay. Now, when you look at the eyes, if you just looked at that and not the rest, you'd think those were the same eyes a few years later. We could run the eye scan on this. All right, we've been given permission by the men in the family for me to go in and take a few pictures. She's quite reluctant to let any man see her face, in particular a foreigner. It's quite a privilege we've been granted. Thank you for letting us come and meet you and for coming all the way from Afghanistan. You were very young when this was taken. Do you have any remembrance of this picture that day, what happened?
I remember that day. I was wearing this shawl which was burned over here at home while cooking. I still recall this dress and that day.
And where was this picture taken?
This picture was taken in the school, and there was a tent in the background, and there was a lot of sunlight that day.
This is the only picture ever taken of you.
Yes, she says I was never photographed before this and never after this.
We got to ask her just a few questions, but as you could see, she's so shy she would hardly talk. The amazing thing is she gave me a couple of details that Steve had told me earlier and that matched up with her story. She even pointed out these holes in her shawl and mentioned that she remembered this because it had been burned in a fire. She said she was the last one he took pictures of that day, which is what Steve told me. She remembered that it was right inside the tent in the edge. Steve said that's what happened. He used the light just by opening the flap. Those details match up.
The search has taken a surprising turn. The case is not yet solved, but it's much closer than a few moments ago. Sharbat and her brother Kashar Khan recall their final days in Afghanistan in the early 80s.
What happened to your parents?
Our parents were both killed by the bombing of the Soviet jet fighters. At that time, a number of people were killed and injured. There was no proper medical treatment.
I don't really recall our parents. I was very small at the time.
Their lives were under such random, violent assaults. Their mother and father had to be buried under the cover of darkness.
We left for the refugee camp with our grandmother. It was very difficult. A difficult journey. We had to walk through the mountains. The Russian planes, helicopters were flying overhead, and they were looking for targets. We had to hide in the caves, and it was cold. And I remember one night which we spent on the way. There was snowfall on the one side, very cold. But then we were trying to light a fire to remain warm, so it was a very difficult night.
So when we came to live in the refugee camp in Pakistan, I continued to be scared of planes because I thought they could bomb us again and kill us.
By the time she was 13, Sharbat's marriage was arranged.
I was happy, I can say, for the first year of marriage. But then there was so much suffering.
Our daughter was a beautiful child, but she died at about 8 months. She fell ill while I was at work. She was taken to the city hospital, but still, she died.
Ramat Gul is Sharbat's husband.